All right, Travis Wingoodsell. I saw Randy Rainbow's latest spoonful of Clorox. Awesome. And was immediately reminded about our own Utah Governor, Mormon Gary Herbert, who had ordered the hydroxychloroquine, whatever it's called, $800,000 worth of it. And then when it got exposed that it's actually a killer drug for those with COVID or coronavirus, I don't want to call it COVID, that's for scientists to call it that. He then backtracked and said, hey, I don't know that person, I hardly know him, I take pictures with lots of people, I don't know, order, my signature, my office, I have nothing to do with that. We'll have an investigation to find out who's responsible. We'll get back to you. But this video, I'm going to revisit Heber C. Kimball's A Test is Coming. If you're unfamiliar with Heber C. Kimball, Mormons, what? How could you be unfamiliar with Heber C. Kimball? Anyway, as you know, I've done my own research into church history, not using those who are critics of the church, who have found things in history, and pursue further delve into things such as, is Joseph Smith a witch or a warlock because he looked into a hat with rocks and claimed to get revelations? Not that kind of stuff. And yes, you all know about it because they've been a dominant force in trying to give you their version of church history, as the church is trying to harmonize the two together, and it's just getting uglier and uglier. So as a person who has deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, who has deciphered Egyptian petroglyphs, who has made the other discoveries, I know how to do scientific testing, I know how to do scientific research, and history is supposed to be done in the same manner and process. So I went and did real church history research. And in that discovery, I came across Heber C. Kimball being a part of a movement to destroy America by placing a king on the throne back in 1826. That was when William Morgan occurred. That whole incident with him, and you may not be familiar with that. You're like, William Morgan? I don't understand. Google search it and find a Wikipedia page on it, and they won't give you the whole details. There is a lot that they're leaving out. But by doing real research, you will come across that he was arrested and jailed in Canandaigua, New York. And that right there should send up all sorts of red flag signals. If the church had been honest and truthful with us, as well as Heber C. Kimball. If you go to the church site or the Wikipedia page site for Heber C. Kimball, there's the part on Masonry. And they quote from a book that supposedly quotes from his journal entries, Heber C. Kimball's journal entries, where he says that he, in 1824, 2 years before the William Morgan incident, he went to the Freemason Lodge in Canandaigua, and requested and said he was approved for a 7th rank in the Yorkites Lodge that was there in Canandaigua. And so you think, well, alright, whatever. If you don't understand anything about Freemasonry in regards to York rites versus Scottish rites. And but that's not the most amazing thing, because who else was in Canandaigua at that time? Well, turns out Joseph Smith Sr. was in Canandaigua as the Master Mason of the Canandaigua Lodge. During the time when Heber C. Kimball says he went there, requested, and was approved for the 7th level ranking. And no mention of Smith Sr. in Heber C. Kimball's page, yet Smith Sr. says, yeah, he was there, he was Master Mason at that time. Aren't they both of the same organization? Shouldn't they knew each other? What's going on? And so, yeah, there's a lot behind that, and I've done playlists going over that. So, understanding that Heber C. Kimball is the enemy of America, wanting to put a king on the throne for his blatant lies, as I've discovered, he gave in August 16th, 1857, as Brother Guerrero, and I don't think it's Samuel the Lamanite. I think that's a different guy, but this Mormon who calls himself Brother Guerrero on his YouTube channel did a video going over Heber C. Kimball's prediction of the future. Now understand it in the context that Heber C. Kimball was a part of the group who wanted to take over America, destroy it, place a king on the throne, and control and subjugate American people. So listen very carefully to this. Like I said, I've already gone over the research. I already know this is the role Heber C. Kimball played. And I published a book about A Test Is Coming. Did I use the title, A Test Is Coming? Let me check Amazon real quick. This was way back in 2017 when I published this. So it does not have any of my updated knowledge of Heber C. Kimball, but it was a warning to Mormons in the test is coming. The test is coming. The end. Latter days. Yep, sure enough. Yep. With the world on fire picture. A test is coming for Latter-day Saints. Wow. So that, I believe, goes over it. There's another one, Latter-day Prophecies, something like that. Let me see if I can, Latter-day Prophecies. Latter-day Prophecies. Latter-day Warnings, a collection. That would also contain it as well. That book cover, I shouldn't have done that one. Yeah, you can tell how I'm trying to figure out the Amazon's processes and covers and all that stuff. But yeah, Latter-day Warnings, a collection, and I have to type in my whole name in order to find my own books. And then A Test is Coming, exclamation point, for Latter-day Saints. A Test is Coming has high rankings, only 2 people though. It's, whatever. Latter-day Warnings, nobody's happy with, and it's 2 people giving me 1 star. They did not like that one, but A Test is Coming, everybody seems to like. Only 2 people though. And anyway, yeah, they need to be updated. But Brother Guerrero did a video. This is where I'm doing this video for. The test has begun. The video was dated 15th of October 2016. So this was right before the presidential election. A month before. Less than a month before. And so he goes over this, and it's just quotes, so I should feel safe and not worry about Brother Guerrero coming after me for copyright infringement, which it isn't. He posted it on the public domain, which is YouTube, so but anyway, I've gone over that issue too. So Heber C. Kimball says, there will also be a day when you will be brought to the test, when your very hearts and your inmost souls will melt within you because of the scenes that many of you will witness. And unfortunately, they're all dead. 1857, yeah, they're all dead. But nevertheless, this gives you an insight into the plot to destroy America after it was foiled by Joseph Smith Sr. Yes, you've missed out a lot. Yes, you will be brought to that test when you will feel as if everything within you would dissolve. Then will be the time you will be tried, whether you will stand the test or fall away. And we're seeing that right now. Nelson has taken away the high priest group. He stopped home teaching. We can't find out about our neighbors anymore. We can't contact them during coronavirus. We can't have a chain so that we know everybody's doing fine and doing well and has toilet paper and food while they stay at home. That was what the home teaching program was supposed to be. It wasn't about, oh, we're going to preach the gospel to you because you're wicked heathens. As Nelson blessed us to repent. But he took away the high priesthood, and in that priesthood meeting he also chastised the high priest, the Melchizedek priesthood, for not giving blessings of healing. That instead of blessings of healing, they were just giving prayers, he was accusing them of. And so with the coronavirus, what does Nelson do? He holds a prayer and fast to heal coronavirus, rather than giving an actual blessing. Not leading by example. And so, lots of airplanes flying a lot closer these days, and cars are traveling much faster on the roads these days. But he changed the temple text to pretend to allow women more freedom. They have to obey God now instead of their husband. But he changed the the tense for the law of chastity. It's now in the plural, which, if you know Mormon history, you know all about polygamy. Plural spouses. And so when he adds in, according to the law of God, what's the law of God regarding marriage, Mormons? It's in section 132 of the Doctrine and Covenants. 10 virgins. But only if you're a high priest. Ooh, he took that away, didn't he? Ooh, wow. So only leaders of the church will now be able to qualify as worthy for polygamy. Do you see what he's been doing? And then in General Conference last, he created a new idol god built upon the cornerstone, which is the church, rather than vice versa. The church being built upon the cornerstone of God. And so pay attention as you read this over with Heber C. Kimball. Brother Guerrero's channel, Guerrero, the test has begun. So you can probably put in your search engine in YouTube, the test has begun. And if you see Brother Guerrero as the channel, that's the one. So let's go on to the next part. Okay. All right. Now it's coming. In May 1868, Heber C. Kimball said, "An army of elders will be sent to the four quarters of the earth to search out the righteous and warn the wicked of what is coming." We didn't actually do that, did we? All kinds of religions will be started and miracles performed that will deceive the very elect if that were possible. Our sons and daughters must live pure lives and be prepared with what's coming. After a while, the Gentiles will gather by the thousands to this place, and Salt Lake City will be classed among the wicked cities of the world. So they're saying that Gentiles will gather to Salt Lake City. And that therefore, then it'll be wicked. Now, if you're paying attention to government in regards to laws that get passed and laws that the citizens of Utah get to vote on, you'll be familiar with Prop 8 in California. Well, Utah had their own version, which they denied marriage, but then the federal government under Obama overturned that, and so Utah had to have a gay marriage acceptance. Then you'll notice in the last midterms, Utah had a medical marijuana. And Mormons turned on the church. Church said, no, don't vote for it. Mormons said, we have sick and afflicted who need medical marijuana. Again, the church is not using their Melchizedek blessing authority and power to heal the sick and afflicted, and instead the church members are looking to science. But the church came out after and modified the law after getting the thumbs up or middle finger from the members of the church. And so understand, in his mind, he thinks he's the righteous and that everybody else is wicked. Here he goes on to say, a spirit of speculation and extravagance. Speculation is investing, capitalism, that type of thing. Investing. And extravagance. You know, people are living the high life. Will take possession of the saints. So So notice this again. After a while, the Gentiles will gather by the thousands to this place, Utah, Salt Lake City. And Salt Lake City will be classed among the wicked cities of the world. Is there a top 10 wicked cities? No, nobody thinks of it that way. And Utah has specifically designed laws for corruption. Zion Curtin, for example, and others. But notice, wicked. And he says, a spirit of speculation and extravagance will take possession of the saints, and the results will be financial bondage. And so, he's not coming out and saying it, and people are recording this. This isn't a pre-prepared talk that he gave. But there's some missing information here. Nevertheless, he goes on. Persecution comes next. And all true Latter-day Saints will be tested to the limit. See, all true Latter-day Saints. He's already said that speculation and extravagance will take possession of the saints, resulting in financial bondage. But then he says true Latter-day Saints will be tested. See what he's doing there? Many will apostatize, and others will be still not knowing what to do. Well, why? Why would Latter-day Saints apostatize? Why would they not know what to do? Why would darkness cover the earth and gross darkness the minds of the people? What's going to happen? You see, when you understand Heber C. Kimball's history, this is making more sense. He's saying, we, the church who has usurped Joseph's organization, we've got something planned for the Mormons in the future. See, the church has gotten involved in speculation and extravagance. The 100 billion tithing scandal, for one example, that resulted in them saying, hey, we do that with all of our businesses. We take a portion out and invest in it. Do you know how many different businesses the church owns and operates? Do you know how many sources of income they therefore invest? If tithing is just one of those, and that's 140 billion, because the Business Insider, which became Market Insider, did a report in January that revealed that Ensign Peak Associates, the investment for the tithing, also had a portfolio, and that portfolio was 40 billion. So 140 billion for just Ensign Peak Associates alone. They've got other investment companies. I've gone over all that. So the church are the ones who are involved with the spirit of speculation and extravagance. Not the saints. They're the ones in the financial bondage. Because the church is involved in speculation and extravagance. So you see what's happening here? Heber C. Kimball, the right arm of Brigham Young, is saying in the future, this is going to happen. He's talking about the end of America, the destruction of America, the takeover of America, and how the church is going to play a role in it. Persecution comes next. Yeah, I should say so. The church is refusing to open up the storehouses during coronaviruses. That sounds like persecution to me. and many have apostatized. When the church rolled out online the gospel topic essays, many millions said, "I'm out. I want nothing more to do with this." They didn't sign the form saying, "I want my membership removed." Meh. No, they just, forget it. I'm out. Don't bother calling me. Leave me alone. Stay away. And each person had their own reasoning. Some more than others in combos. But for some it was polygamy. For others it was racism of Brigham Young. And others it was translation, or the lack thereof. It would be interesting to find out the tallies of the reasons, the initial reason, not the ones after, because many people find out after, oh, they also did that? Oh man, it's a good thing I left. But for me it was murder. Finding out that Heber C. Kimball, along with Brigham Young, ordered the murder of Joseph Smith by putting in their people, Willard Richards and John Taylor, to make sure the job got done, was the final straw for me. And so notice he's saying that darkness will cover the minds of the people. Again, he's still under the guise of, we are the church, even though it's going to be tough for you to handle as we make the necessary adjustments into complete and utter corruption. And that's where Albert Pike's letter to Giuseppe Mazzini comes into play, because he's talking about the more specific details of what Heber C. Kimball is not getting into. Replacing Christianity with the church and doctrine of Lucifer. Okay, the judgments of God will be poured out on the wicked to the extent that our elders from far and near will be called home. Coronavirus called the elders home. The judgments of God will be poured out on the wicked. That's what I told you was their plan with coronavirus. The four horsemen, the four kings. One of the kings may be on his deathbed. The first one, the white horseman, he may be dying. They had to have China doctors fly over to North Korea to do an emergency whatever with them. They're keeping it all hush-hush. But the fact that you have Chinese doctors going into North Korea, when North Korea already has excellent doctors to take care of them. I mean, they're not dumb in North Korea. He does highly educate certain classes of people, and they've got great computer technology. They're testing nuclear weapons, for heaven's sakes. So yeah, they're not dumb in North Korea, but to have Chinese doctors go in, that's big. And so here it is right here, the judgments of God. They consider mankind as evil and corrupt and must be destroyed. They planned a destruction. There it is right there. Remember, Joseph Smith said the Constitution will hang by a thread depending on who wrote it. And it's supposed to be the elders who are supposed to save the Constitution from the kingmen placing a king on the throne of America, the Book of Mormon. But right here you have Heber C. Kimball knowing of the plot. That's their plot back in 1826, which was thwarted by Joseph Smith Sr. And there he is right there saying, we will have in the future, during the time where the church will be filthy rich and Mormons will be leaving because of the lies and deception of church history and the abuses and the corruption and the neglect of the poor and the sick. Mormons will just leave, and that's because they're in darkness. They're not conforming and complying. And the judgments of God, we will kill you. And during that time when we're killing you, the missionaries will be called home. Or in other words, the gospel will be taken from the Gentiles and later on carried to the Jews. Jews are also dying, by the way. And he says, the western boundary of the state of Missouri will be swept so clean of its inhabitants that, as President Young tells us, when you return to that place, there will be not much so left as a yellow dog to wag its tail. So it's talking about the state of Missouri becoming desolate because of coronavirus. So why a yellow dog? Why do they call it a yellow dog? Because back in those days, they called a person yellow, in reference to coward, chicken, scared, scaredy cat. You're a yellow dog. So that's interesting that was used. Before that day comes, however, the saints will be put to the test that will try the integrity of the best of them. The pressure will become so great that the more righteous among them will cry unto the Lord day and night until deliverance comes. Those who are still loyal to the church will be shaken under coronavirus. This was intended to go on for months and years. Remember, before coronavirus, they announced and began implementation of the remodeling of Temple Square so that Salt Lake Temple could last throughout the millennium with earthquakes. And they didn't quite make it before the Magna one. As Gabriel sounded his horn instead of Moroni, who lost his horn. Hosanna, deliver us. Remember conference? Hosanna shout? Where he presented a new God. And a fast offering, the fast for coronavirus to magically disappear. As a medical doctor. Yes, we think we are secure here in the chambers of these everlasting hills, where we can close the doors of the canyons against mobs and persecutors. You guys murdered them and fled the country. The wicked and the vile, who have always beset us with violence and robbery. But I want to say to you, my... Stupid mouse. But I want to say to you, my brethren, that the time is coming when we will be mixed up in these now peaceful valleys to that extent that it will be difficult to tell the face of a saint from the face of an enemy against the people of God. And so, again, the countenance of the true Mormons are going to be darkened. If if you understand what the Bible, the Book of Mormon is saying about the subject, about countenances falling, and you don't have the light to give to the world, share with the world, you become darkened. And he said that earlier. Mormons will be darkened. They won't know what to do, where to go, and they will apostatize. And so this is what he's referring to. Then is the time to look out for the great sieve, for there will be a great shifting time. It's supposed to be sifting. And many will fall, for I say unto you, there is a test is coming. So they are purposely causing coronavirus to kill off Mormons. They've already put in place the test that has caused many Mormons millions. 2/3 Mormons have just stopped going to church now. And yet there's still another one coming after coronavirus. It is what he calls the great sieve. For there shall be a great sifting time. It should be sifting rather than shifting, because a sieve has to do with grain, storing of grain, separating the grain, and the sifting of the wheat from the tares, from the Bible stories. He's already indicated that it's hard to tell a true loyalist of the church from a regular person of God. And yet there's still going to be a sifting. And again, what have I already told you about what that is? He's taken away the high priest group. Only leaders of the church are going to be high priests. In order to be exalted, you have to be a high priest. Not an elder, a high priest. In order to go through the Holy of Holies, you have to be a high priest. And so, when you throw in Brigham Young's alteration of doctrine to require 10 virgins to be exalted, it is now understood in the context that you have to be a high priest to then be worthy to have 10 virgins in order to be exalted. That's what they have planned after coronavirus is over with. When the missionaries come home. The judgments of God. And that's the great sieve. He's already set it up. Oaks in October 2018 or 19 did trust in the Lord, trust the Lord, or something like that, in the first Saturday session of conference. He talks about a woman saying, I'm marrying a man who is sealed to a wife who is now deceased. Will I become the first wife, or how does that work? And he said, trust the Lord, trust in the Lord. Swallowed wrong. And so they're already thinking polygamy. And with the change in the temple and the alterations with the priesthood, that's what they're doing. That's the great sieve. And remember, many Mormons left the church, apostatized, because they found out about polygamy. But it was incorrect. They were blaming Joseph Smith to justify Brigham Young. It was Brigham Young. Nevertheless, they're purposely doing that. We still have Mormons who think, oh, we have to have polygamy. It's going to be polygamy in the millennium, etc., etc. Well, if you're killing off Mormons, There may not be many men left anyway. There may not be many women left either. The church has before it many close places through which it will have to pass before the work of God is crowned with glory. The difficulties will be of such a character that the man or woman who does not possess a personal knowledge or witness will fall. Now that is true, except that the church does not want Mormons to actually have a personal witness and a knowledge of truth. Because remember, Mormons, when you say that the church is true, what do you mean? Get specific. What is it you mean? Well, the church obviously exists. It has articles of incorporation with the government. Is that what it means? Is it true in the sense of sound? Is it sound to believe in the church? To believe in polygamy? To believe in racism? To believe in murder if you don't keep your covenants? Remember that? Only those who are my age and older know that one. Women may not, unless they got married at 18. Is that what's sound about the church? And so, when they talk about personal knowledge and witness, it doesn't mean the same. It's similar to the Middle East when they say both the Palestinians and the Israelis, they want peace. But what do they mean by that? How do you get to peace? What is peace? What is your vision of peace? And when you realize, oh, you exterminate the other side, then there's peace. It's the same thing here. You can have a personal knowledge and witness as long as you don't have a personal knowledge and witness of the false claims of the church. As long as it's true claims, then therefore it's true, and it's knowledge and witness. If you have got this testimony, you must live right and call upon the Lord and cease not until you obtain it. Remember these sayings. The time will come when no man or woman will be able to endure on borrowed light. That's the parable of the 10 virgins. 10 virgins, polygamy, parable of the 10 virgins, latter days. See the connection? Borrowed light. Each will have to be guided by the light within themselves. They had already been practicing polygamy during this. Each will have to be guided by the light within themselves. If you do not have the knowledge that Jesus is the Christ, how can you stand? Okay. That was May 1863. Okay, here's another one. This is Ezra Toft Benson. So, yeah, we're done with Heber C. Kimball. So see what he was doing. Now that you've gone over my previous videos to understand this one, do you see what Heber C. Kimball is doing? He knew of the plan to attack America. He was in the Scottish Rites Freemasons. He was going to be a part of that in destroying America and placing a king on the throne. But Joseph Smith Sr. stopped it. And the key in church history is the place of Canandaigua, New York, that ties all three people together: Heber C. Kimball, William Morgan, Joseph Smith Sr. They planned, orchestrated, were hindered, so they went underground and infiltrated Joseph's church organization, rose up into power, just as they were doing in the Scottish Rites with America in the government, took over leadership positions, then murdered the founder and took it over with those who followed Brigham to Salt Lake City. And they're planning to bring back polygamy as the test. Because in 68, let me check one thing real quick. Edmonds, Tucker Rats. Come on. That was 1887. So that was 20 years earlier when Heber C. Kimball spoke about this. Let's see. 86 passed by the Senate, 85 introduced. And so, yeah, they knew polygamy was going to be difficult in the future. He did not, well, maybe he did, in order to become a state in the Union, but do not be deceived, Mormons. Do not be deceived.